everyone, this is Brian Kaz here, joined by my friend and business partner Sean Casey. We have another Wednesday marketing webinar for you today, so pretty exciting one this time. It's called the Shortcuts to Success, and it's essentially simple tricks to grow any business with ease, regardless if you have an existing business or if you're brand new and looking to start one. All these tips you can use and apply to either your current or future businesses. And these are just little tips that are meant to basically help you throughout various areas, of your business. And they're little things that have helped us a lot throughout the years, and as well as helped a lot of others that we've seen as well. So pretty exciting call for you. And as always, if you have any questions or anything like that throughout the call, feel free to type it into the little chat box, and either Sean or Sharon will basically answer you while I'm talking, or towards the very end of the call, about probably 2/3 of the way through. We'll have plenty of time for Q&A, and we'll answer questions live then as well. And of course, you'll also get a chance to win some cash as well in just a bit. So without further ado, we can get this show on the road. And once again, I'm Brian Kaz, joined by my friend and business partner Sean Casey, and on today's call, again, will be Shortcuts to Success, simple tricks to grow any business with ease. So, as most of you probably know, but I'm sure there's a handful of new people on these calls, because each week we get a bunch of new guys as well. These calls are every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, which is right about now. We'll host a live training and/or Q&A call for our members, usually about, I'd say, probably 4 out of 5 times, if not 9 out of 10 times. It's either myself or Sean or both of us essentially talking. Occasionally we'll bring like a special guest on if we feel that they have basically a topic that would be of interest to you guys, but usually it's just us. And if you're here or registered for the series, you'll get a reminder each week so you don't forget. But if you can't make one, we'll have the recordings up in the members area within a day of any of the calls under the training tab on the left side navigation bar. It'll just be called, you'll click on the training tab, then you'll see a drop down where it'll say Wednesday trainings. You click that, and you'll see the most recent ones at the very top. Again, it might take like a half day to like a day to get this one here once the call's done, but you'll see that there soon. And like always, if you want to win $100 today, you can join our free Facebook group here. You can just go to getwebfire.com/FB group, and partway through this call, I'll give you instructions on how you could win $100. So and we'll actually do that live on this call towards the very end. But if you're not a member yet, and again, it's free to join right here, you can go to getwebfire.com/FB group, sign up. Sharon will approve of you, usually within like a minute or two if you do it shortly now. And we'll tell you what to do in just a bit. Now let's move on to our training for this week on our Shortcuts to Success. Over the years, we've learned a lot of tricks or methods that helped our businesses a ton with minimal effort. And we've also witnessed tons of others do similar things with success as well. So we know that these don't just work for us, they work for a lot of people out there. As long as you try them, you can get success out of them. So if you're looking to grow or start your business, you'll want to pay attention to these methods, because even applying just 1 or 2 can go a really long ways. And we'll have several of these methods for you as well. And again, just 1 or 2 can make a world of difference for you. So if you're paying attention to this call right now, obviously we'll have the recordings up shortly after. But feel free, if there's any particular ones that stand out to you. If I were you, I'd probably jot those down as a quick note so you can go back and take action or review the slides and stuff once we have the replay up. So again, the overview is, we'll first go through the tips to grow your business. We have quite a few of those, and then we'll have a Q&A. So if you have any questions related to those tips or anything that has to do with marketing at all, even outside of this call, feel free to ask those. And then we'll end it with our cash giveaway. So moving on to the tips. tip number one, become great at one thing. So most people in business try to be mediocre at almost everything. Like they try to be, okay at writing, okay at making products, okay at sales copy, okay at graphics, okay at like a bunch of different products or services that they sell, because they think that if they can get into everything, that's how they can best grow their business. And that couldn't be further from the truth, because the issue is that doing so won't really get you far or make you stand out, whether you're selling a service, and especially with that, or selling any kind of a product. In fact, it's far better to be great at one thing than mediocre at several things. The stuff that you're not good at, you can either outsource to those who are, or get by with them being mediocre for the time being. So let's say you're really good at a certain service that you want to sell. Rather than trying to spend your time being, okay at content, okay at sales copy, okay at SEO, and okay at all that other stuff, focus on being great at the service you're selling, or being great on the product you're doing, or great. Let's say you're great at SEO, but you suck about the rest. Focus on being great on that one main thing right there. Because if you can be great at that one thing, and outsource stuff that you're not great at, or just get by with the rest of the stuff not being the absolute best, you'll find that you'll tend to get much further. And a few examples here is, let's say that you're really awesome at SEO. Okay, so let's say you want to sell a service that you help others rank. And let's say you're really good at ranking local businesses or some kind of service like that. Or let's say you're really good at, I don't know, you're really good at giving golf lessons, or anything like that. If you're really great at that and you stand out as being really great, if you have like an okay or a crappy sales page, it won't matter as much, because if you stand out as being really great and you have the testimonials, you have the social proof, you have all that to back the fact up that you know what you're doing, people won't care as much that you have a crappy sales page. Same thing, like let's say you're, let's say you want to sell a Facebook ad marketing service, and let's say your target price point is $1,000 or more a month, or let's say it's even $5,000 a month, and you're trying to basically land high-end clients and stuff. Sure, you could outsource a sales page, and sure, at some point I'd recommend having a nice looking sales page. But if you have the testimonials, if you have the proof to back up that you know what you're doing, your clients won't care as much about how good your sales page looks, as long as you're great at what you basically do. Word of mouth alone, or referrals alone, can help you get a long ways. But I've seen a lot of people tend to do the opposite, and that's they try to be mediocre with what they're selling and be mediocre at everything else too, just to try to basically do all the stuff themselves, or to try to get by. And that's again one of the biggest mistakes that you can make. So if you can excel at one thing, you can get very far. And this applies outside of business too. Like if you're working for if you're working at, like, let's say a job, and you're really good at one big skill, you're far more valuable to basically people who work for them. They're far less likely to basically fire you if you're really great at that one thing. And again, the same thing applies in business too. If you're really great at that one thing, you have a lot more value, and you'll tend to get much further in your business. Tip number two, it's this is a little trick that is basically better than going after prospects. So lots of business owners will try to chase down any and all prospects. It's almost kind of funny how hard some people out there will try to make a sale, even though the prospects might not be their best target, or might not be interested in what they have to sell at all. And that's because there's two issues with that. First, most of the prospects out there aren't 100% targeted to your offer, so they're not necessarily a perfect fit. And on top of that, the second thing is most prospects don't know anything about you. So it's very hard to convince basically people to buy from you if A, they're not a perfect target, and B, they don't know anything about you at all. It's kind of like saying if you're in the market for, let's say, a luxury car, and someone's trying to sell you a crappy car, or vice versa, you're in the market for a super cheap car, and someone's attempting to sell you, $100,000 car. Is it possible that you can convince that guy? Sure, maybe, but very, 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 very unlikely. And if they don't know anything about you, they're not likely to fork over a lot of money to buy from you. Is it possible? Sure, but very, very, very unlikely and very hard. Instead, you should try to find prospects online that are already asking questions and seeking help with what you could quickly help them with to build that trust. For instance, let's say you're selling a service where you do SEO. Okay, you can search, even using the lead tools inside of Webfire, you can search guys asking questions on how to rank, or asking, if this is important or that is important. Easy stuff that if you've been through any of the trainings and stuff on SEO in Webfire, you'd probably know the vast majority of the answers there. And if you take just a minute to basically answer them, and then show a link to your site where they could learn more, or they see that you sell a service like that, it proves that you kind of know what you're talking about, build some trust with them, and at that point that if they're asking a question related to a service or a product that you actually do, that could be a pretty good fit for you. Or same thing if you sell a Facebook ads service, or if you sell reputation management, or whatever it might be. If someone's asking a specific question on that, and you seek out those guys and give them a specific answer, and you make it obvious that you do that stuff right there, you earn some trust there, you target your guys, and you build somewhat of a little relationship right there where they're more likely to buy from you. And not only that, it's not just the prospects that you seek out, basically answer right there. Anyone that sees the forum post that they did or anything like that will also see that you helped them. And that could be hundreds to thousands of people, weeks or months or even years down the line, that they see you answering that, and they view you as the expert in that case right there. And even better yet is you can make deals with people or businesses that already have access to lots of your best prospects to then refer them to you. This is a huge thing that can really make a world of difference, where just one good lead can actually be worth, dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, even thousands of sales over the course of weeks, months, or years right here. And instead of trying to focus on a single prospect or a single buyer, you can focus on the ones that can bring you tons and tons and tons of sales. I'll give you an example. So a long time back, I sold kind of like a reputation management kind of mixed with like an SEO service. They're very comparable services. In both cases, you try to rank stuff well, and so it's kind of along the same lines. And rather than trying to seek out random people that are in need of reputation management or SEO, I made a deal with essentially a lawyer who would oftentimes get a lot of clients looking to sue another person over, like, a bad review or some bad stuff said about them, and they didn't know how to rank their good stuff. They didn't know how to basically not look bad, and in a lot of cases there was like a lot of stuff said that legitimately wasn't their fault. It wasn't like they were a bad business and just had lots of unhappy clients. It could be like a random blogger saying crap. It could be a competitor trying to basically bash them or make them look bad, and they didn't know what to basically do. And the lawyer would essentially say, hey, look, you can try to sue them. You'll spend tens of thousands of dollars just to start with, possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars, and in the end, in a lot of cases, there's not necessarily a way to enforce that. So you might burn 100 grand and walk away with the issue not being solved. So to a lot of guys, they're like, crap, that's probably not worth, you know, that much, especially if there's no real way to actually solve it. Whereas he would then say, you know, instead you might want to look into these guys right here, that for a lot less, they can actually look into solving the actual issue, into getting good stuff ranked about you, into pushing some of that bad stuff down, and getting the good parts to stand out and rank. And to a guy like that, if he's looking at, well, gee, I could spend, you know, 100K here or 5 or 10K here, and with the 5 to 10K I can solve it. With the 100K I probably won't. Which do you think they're likely to go with? And on top of that, they have a lawyer or someone looking to basically refer them over. What do you think they're going to basically do? Yeah, exactly. They're far more likely to buy through you because you at that point were a referral. And even if you give the people referring you a cut, it can be a win-win for both sides, because the guy's not likely to spend, you know, 100K, you know, with the lawyer in this case, if he knows that, you know, most likely it won't even solve it. So for the lawyer, he loses out probably on the deal either way. But if he refers him out to you, he might make a decent side chunk without really having to do any actual work. Another example is I would also do, like years back, some SEO and reputation management for kind of like smaller businesses, and not really, by smaller I don't mean like mom and pop. They're more like microcap stocks, like places that would do anywhere from hundreds of thousands to, you know, several $1 million a year, that were looking to grow the value of their stocks. And those were businesses that typically would pay a minimum of thousands of dollars a month, in some cases even 10 grand or more, to get some basic help, you know, with their SEO and the reputation and stuff like that, because their goal was to make sure that when people searched for their company, that people saw good stuff about them. Now, if I were to go up to a random business, even one that really needs the service that I have, and if I were to try to sell them that, most guys would probably balk at that. They'd probably be like, whoa, for, you know, a few grand to 10 grand or more, you know, a month, that's a really hard sale, especially if they don't know anything about me. So is it possible to land those deals? Sure. But a better way, which is what we did here, is we went to like a large investment firm that actually dealt with a lot of these kinds of businesses and stuff, and we said, hey, if you know of any particular businesses that could really benefit from this service right here, you know, we'll pay you X amount, you know, per referral, or X cut, you know, per sale that goes through. And in that case, it'd be a win-win, because, you know, these places know a ton of clients that could really use our help, and they get paid. And on top of that, you know, if the business does well because of what we helped with, there's an extra benefit through the stocks going up and such too. So it's really, you know, a win-win-win. And again, when a big investment firm place goes to a business that they either work with or one that's trying to do work with them, and they say, you know, hey, looks like you really need help here. Here's some guys that, you know, we recommend that can help you with that. You know, those guys are far more likely to plop down that amount of money, because they know that the large investment firm, you know, likes us, or, you know, likes essentially the work that we've done and so forth. And that could land some deals easily, where all of a sudden, if you charge 10K a month, you know, that's an easier sale at that point than charging even $500 without having that referral first. You'd be far more likely to land the 10K sale than to land the $500 sale, because you got the referral going through. A final example is, I heard from, this isn't my own example, but one that I saw a friend do. They basically do like a lot of custom printing and stuff like that, and they went to a giant ink supplier, and got them to refer them leads out of people that were looking to do custom work that they also do. And they were able to land thousands, if not tens of thousands, of individual sales from just one deal made right off the bat like that. And it's a deal that you're not likely to make if you call up basically a prospect themselves directly. But if it's through a referral, you're far more likely to land that sale. And one good referral can lead to tons and tons and tons of business down the line. So definitely try to look at what do you have, and what's maybe another business or type of business out there that could possibly refer you a lot of business in a win-win sort of way, and try to seek out those places and make deals with them. And on that note, we'll move to tip 3, which is how to make deals with almost anyone. So when you're seeking out business deals with others, it's super easy to make them as long as you provide them with a great benefit, and usually that's them making a lot of money. So again, money talks. Most people, when they try to make these deals or seek out these deals, they only think about themselves, but in reality, no one really cares about you. They care about themselves. No one cares that they can make you a lot of money, okay? They're like, okay, good for you, but how does that help me? But what I've seen in probably 9 out of 10 cases is people approach other businesses and only focus on realistically what the business can help them with. Or they kind of kid themselves, and they're like, hey, I'll pay you, like a 5% cut for any referral. You're insulting them, because it's kind of like saying, if I send you $1,000 sale, do you think I'm excited about making 50 bucks? I mean, literally, it's insulting if you try to hike that up and think that I'll be excited about making basically 50 bucks to send you $1,000. I mean, pretty much everyone's smart enough to know that that's a bad deal. And I can't tell you the number of people. I mean, even guys that have approached us oftentimes give like us kind of a crappy deal where it's like, okay, you guys have to do all the work, and I only pay you this tiny, tiny, tiny cut. And it's like, okay, no way in hell is anyone going to make that kind of deal. I've even had guys in the past say, hey, here's an idea. I'll give you this idea. You can make it. You can spend all the money to get this made. You can spend all the time and money to make the sales page, do all the support, do all the marketing, do everything, and oh, I'll be generous. I'll pay you a 10% cut for you doing all the work with everything. And they think that's a great deal because they think, oh, this will make a ton of money, and I gave you the idea. Therefore, they think they're entitled to the vast majority of the money. And again, ideas are worth almost nothing, because if so, anyone out there can list probably 1 million ideas, and you'd all be worth billions of dollars if that was worth the most money right there. So you have to be able to follow through and do the rest of the work there. So try to think of what you can do to help others first, and what would make them excited to do a deal with you. And again, if you change this mentality that you have, you'll find that it's much more easier to make these kind of deals. Here's an example right here. If you're doing a white label deal for your product or service, and a white label deal is basically where you allow someone else to sell your product or service under their name or their brand, where people won't know that you're involved necessarily. So you allow them to basically market it as they choose and market it, under their own name, and you basically just get paid a cut in the back. If you're trying to go for that kind of deal, offer to pay a huge cut with usually, I mean, there might be a handful of exceptions here, of course, but usually have a minimum of at least 50% or better going to basically the people that you're trying to do a deal with. And on top of that, do all the support for them, offer up a pre-existing sales page, and offer to edit up anything on the sales page or change the offer or whatever they want. So basically offer to do all that work. So all they have to do is basically promote that to their people or market it to wherever they want, and you basically offer to do basically everything else, so it's as hands-free for them as possible, and they get a huge cut on top of that. That's what they get excited about, because if you target, and you don't want to make these deals with just anyone. You want to only go to the ones that you know can get a lot of sales, that already have a history of doing well with other offers. Because at that point, people can get excited saying, hey, I don't have to do nearly as much work, but I can still make a big chunk of the money without having to do any of that crappy hard stuff. And that's what gets them basically excited, and that's what gets these kinds of deals made. So the more hands-free you make it for the other business, the more likely they are to basically do it, as long as it's targeted to their business. So if you change your mentality and kind of seek out these guys, you'll be far more likely to make these kinds of deals. Tip number 4, use deadlines and special offers. So hardly anyone takes action if you allow them to think on it for as long as they want. For any offer you have, either offer deadlines or special deals that end at a certain time. And again, you can repeat these kinds of deals later if you wish. It's not like you can only do it one time. But if you never have a deal end and you never have a deadline, naturally everyone tries to find an excuse to put off buying. They'll try to think, oh gee, I can come back in a week or a month or a few months or a year and buy later. But what people don't realize is people have so much stuff going on that when it comes to that time that in their head they think they'll be back and buy, they're oftentimes thinking about other stuff and they'll never come back then at that point. So you want to make sure to always have some kind of deadline or a special offer. That's why at like a furniture store, that's why each week there's always some kind of special deal, and they always tend to have a deadline of some kind to get that special deal. Even though you know that within a week there might be another special deal, even though you know that, you're still inclined to take advantage of that deal now if you think that that's basically furniture or whatever that you like or want. And we find that 3-day countdowns work the best for this. Now, that's not to say that longer or shorter won't work. That's just what we found through our testing. What worked well for the stuff that we've done was that. So we'll have basically a special deal that will be like for three days time, and when we email on that, we use what we call a 1, 2, 3 email method. And this is where for a 3-day countdown, on the first day we'll send one email out, which basically just tells them about the special offer. And tells them that hey, this ends on X day at midnight or some deal like that. And then on the second day, we send 2 emails out, like once in the morning, once in the evening. Basically same thing. And usually what we find is you get a chunk of sales on the first day. On the second day, you don't really get a lot of sales. But then on the third day, you send 3 emails. In the morning, in the evening, and right prior to the offer being done. So maybe like a couple hours prior or even an hour prior, make sure an email goes out. And on those last emails, you're basically telling them, hey, this is the final day, and in the subject line, you can even say, final deadline, or sale ends in two hours, or anything like that. And what you find is that on the final day, especially at the very end, like 1 hour prior to the deadline, you'll get a lot of sales, because everyone that was basically thinking about buying, they now know that they have to basically buy or lose out on the deal, and you'll get a lot of sales, especially at the very end. So this is a method that any of you can use and get an immediate boost in sales without really a lot of work at all. So tip number 5. See the slides being a bit slow to change right here. So I'll give it a second. I think it just froze up for a second there. Yeah.
Wow, even playing the Jeopardy music didn't work.
Yeah, okay, so tip 5 there. Yeah, just it froze up for a second there, but looks like it's back in action now. So tip 5 is all about the leads. So, and that's basically, if you're not growing a list, your business is dying. And this is true in probably 98 to 99% of cases out there. Because in the majority of cases, one of your top priorities should always be growing a list, because you can use that list to sell anything you want, even in slower business time. So if you're having whether you're a local business or whether you sell stuff online, like let's say you have a slow week or a slow month. Well, you can come up with a special offer, even like the one that we just actually talked about a couple minutes ago, and you can say, hey, because it's a slow week or a slow month, I'm going to have a special offer now because I'm going to drive a lot of sales. And you can email your list, and even smaller lists can react quite well to these kinds of deals. And because, as they say, again, the money is in the list. So even in the slow times, you can use it to gain extra sales. And once you build a list, you want to mail it. And as obvious as that sounds, as common sense as it is right there, you'd be shocked at the number of people that don't mail a list. And the problem is they'll build a list and they'll say, well, I don't want to bug them, I don't want to bother them, yada yada. And what's the point in building a list if you don't mail it? And what a lot of people don't understand is that sure, there might be a handful of grumpy people that don't want to hear from you, but that's perfectly okay because they can unsubscribe. If they don't ever plan on buying from you, you shouldn't care about them. But there's a lot of people that do want to buy from you, and they do want to hear from you, and those are the ones that you should care the most about, because if you don't mail them, you lose out on that sale. Because guess what? You're not the only person emailing them, okay? Believe it or not, I'm guessing if any of you looked in your inbox, you probably have more emails than just one from myself or Sean, right? You probably have a bunch of emails from a bunch of other,
But they should immediately unsubscribe from all other lists. You forgot to finish that thought.
Yeah, yeah. From all those other lists, you should immediately unsubscribe from and only stay on ours. That's a great point. But no, you're probably on. I mean, not only do you get a bunch of other emails, but even in a certain niche, like even in marketing as a whole, you're probably on multiple lists there. You're probably getting multiple emails. So if you're not mailing your clients or your prospects, someone is. And personally, I would rather want someone to read an email from me or check out a product of mine than to read an email or check out a product of another person. Because guess what? Buyers are buyers. They'll basically buy something regardless if it's from you or another person. So definitely mail that now. It's not like we obviously mail our lists a lot. It's not like you have to be exactly like that. But if you have a list, at least mail it, at least like, a couple times a week, if not more. We tend to mail our leads every day, occasionally even more than once a day. And I'm not saying you have to do exactly like that, even though we find that that's basically best for, making the maximum amount of money as possible. But I know a lot of people that, they'll rarely even mail their list once a month. There's some that even like mail their list like once or twice a year, and there's some that even never mail their lists, and just it makes absolutely no sense. So definitely mail it once you have that. Tip 6 is to go for higher price points, especially in the majority of cases, because in a lot of cases, selling a $1,000 service or product isn't that much harder than selling a $7 service or product. Because guess what? Both of them require you to what? Make the product or make the service. Both of them require to make some kind of sales page or a webinar or something like that. Both require you to market it, and both basically require a lot of the same amount of work. But in one case, if you land a $7 sale, I mean, you can buy a McDonald's meal. If you land a $1,000 sale, you could pay, your rent or part of your mortgage or whatever it might be with that right there. I mean, obviously, one's worth a lot more. And if you get a few of those sales at $1,000 a month, I mean, that's a full-time living for a lot of people. A few sales of a $7 product, you can maybe go out to eat at a somewhat okay place. So, and again, a lot of cases, the amount of work that goes into it is almost the exact same. But we've seen that a lot of times people try to focus on being the cheapest price out there, and this is one of the biggest mistakes, I think, because in 99% of the cases, being the cheapest price isn't the best thing. It's not what will win you a lot of money or a lot of sales. I mean, of course, there are exceptions. Like, if you're a Walmart, yes, their whole thing is trying to be the lowest price out there. But I'm going to safely assume that most of you are not about to start, a Walmart competitor or anything like that. And as such, most of you will probably fail if that's the mentality that you have. It's kind of like if you're looking to have, heart surgery, do you want to go with the cheapest guy on the market? If he's like, hey, for $100, I'll do the triple bypass, so I'll be good, versus like the other guy that might be 100,000. Which one are you more likely to pay a little more attention to? Hopefully not the $100 guy. And it's the same thing in marketing. Oftentimes, if you're the cheapest guy out there, people automatically assume that you're probably not the best product or service or the best place to basically go to. And you want to focus more on the value that you provide rather than what your price point is. Because if you say, hey, here's a $10,000 true value that you can get for $1,000, that seems like a much better deal than a $7 report that doesn't necessarily have a lot of value to it. So always keep that in mind. And when you focus on those willing to pay more for more value, it's often far easier to actually target them, both by seeking them out online, which again, you can use the lead tools and for inside of Webfire, or through SEO. And here's a few examples right here. So one of the markets that I was in was the diamond market, where I was just an affiliate. So I didn't have to carry any diamonds or anything like that, but I realized very early on that there's a lot of people looking to buy diamonds, whether it's a diamond engagement ring, whether it's for a gift or whatnot. But there's many different kinds of people looking to buy diamonds. There's those that are looking to buy, a $500 ring, which is fine and all that, but it just won't make a ton of money for an affiliate. And there's those looking to buy a $100,000 diamond ring, which obviously is worth a lot more, even as an affiliate. And oftentimes, if you target basically diamonds or anything like that as a whole, you get a lot of the cheaper sales. Whereas if you target more of like the elite keywords, like knowing that there's less people looking to buy a $100,000 diamond than there are people looking to buy a $1,000 one, but there's also a lot more of the competition is focused on the lower price points where most of the buyers are. So that gives an opportunity for you to focus on the elite ones. So if you were to target a keyword like 3-carat diamond ring, if you were to target that on SEO, chances are there's a lot less sites trying to compete for a term like that, or there's a lot less people competing over the advertising space for that. Yet the value of a buyer there is worth phenomenally more, like way more. So you can get a bigger bang for your buck, as well as a bigger bang for the time that you spend on it, by trying to focus on those that are either asking questions about higher end diamonds or doing a search for terms that are indicating that they're more likely to be a higher end prospect. Because if someone's basically doing a search for 3-carat diamond ring online, sure, you might get a handful of people that don't know that that's worth a lot of money, but the majority of people probably know that that's a decently expensive item right there. So you're targeting a more elite high-end buyer and focusing your time on that, and that can lead to much easier time for you to make those high-end sales. Tip number 7, make your offerings more DFY, or done for you. So the more done for you your service or your offer is, the more likely you'll be able to easily sell it. The more work you ask your prospects to do, the more likely that they'll buy elsewhere or pass up on your offer. And this applies to whether you're trying to target a prospect directly, or whether you're trying to make a deal with someone to refer you, lots and lots of sales. In either case, the more work that you require them to basically do, the less likely you are to make that deal. The more likely you are to make it almost completely hands-free for them, the more likely they already get excited about that and buy through you or send you referrals and all that right there. So a few examples of some good DFY offers is, lots of people like let's say you want to sell Facebook advertising. So let's say like you want to be like an ad manager or an SEO manager, or anything like that. A lot of people will try to sell like a report. So for like $7, they'll basically teach you everything that they know, or for $47 or $97. And the problem is, like, a lot of people don't want to take the time to learn all that. They just want it done. Okay, even if your service is like $1,000 a month or $2,000 or $3,000 a month, they'd rather pay that than pay the $7 and learn it themselves, because they don't want to take the time to have to learn that. They just want it done. Because that's the difference between a lot of business owners and people that are starting to get into business, is that the guys that have a successful business already, they value their time the most. Okay, so they would rather have someone do that work for them than them having to learn that all themselves. So they're not motivated by the cheaper price. Okay, they don't care about that. They're motivated by the time that they'd save by going with you, or the not having to do nearly as much. Or like another example is let's say you have like even on like a local business. Okay, like let's say that you have like I don't know, a bicycle repair shop. Okay, even something as simple as offering to basically pick up and drop off the bikes for them can make a world of difference in landing deals, because there's a lot of places that or there's a lot of people that won't necessarily be able to easily transport a bike, or won't want to take the time to do so, where even if you're a bit more money, people might be more likely to go with you. Or with SEO, again, people would rather you do all that work for them and get their site ranked, rather than you just basically teach them how to go about that. On the extreme end, like let's say you're an article writer, instead of just writing an article, which is somewhat done for them, why not automatically optimize their article, automatically post it for them on their blog, or make a blog out of it. So it's very easy to make a blog from scratch, using Blogger.com or any service like that. And if you hand a person a blog on a silver platter that already has the unique content and all that on that, that might be a $500 to $1,000 offer that might seem super cheap, which would be far more appealing than a $20 offer to get an article. So it's not that much more work, but because you make it more hands-free, it's easier to sell those higher-end products or services, because you're making it more hands-free and more done for them. So the more hands-free and the more done for them that you can make it, the higher the price that you can charge. Tip number 8 is examine your competition. You can find others in your market that appear to be doing well, and don't even ask like, well, how do I find who my competition is? If you don't know, you're overthinking. Okay, if you do a Google search, you can find tons of competitors. If you pay attention to forums and stuff in your niche, you can see people talking about certain offers out there. It's not that hard to find who your competition is. Or even if you're selling stuff on Amazon, you can see what are the top sellers right there. If you're a local business, you can see which places appear to be getting most of the traffic and all that right there. It's not that hard. And then you want to look at their sales page, at their offers, at their upsells, where they seem to be advertising and so forth, what others are saying about them, and just try to see what can you basically mimic or do better than them, and then do it. So if you know that they've already done basically research, taking the time to sell the stuff and advertise the stuff, or put this together, that most likely there's a reason for that. And if you see that there's a lot of feedback of people loving that, then mimic that. If there's feedback of people that don't like another part, try to see what you can do to basically improve that. So by examining those that have already done well, you can save a lot of time compared to having to start from scratch. Tip 9 is to have a great lead grab. You want to give prospects a major incentive to check your offer out. This can be a free report, tool, a tidbit, or even a service. The better the offer, the more likely you're going to get that prospect. Now, most people out there I find seem to think that the crappy offer is good enough. Like, they'll throw a report together and they'll say, enter your email to get my free report, which is a crappy headline. It's a crappy offer. You have to be specific. People are looking for specific things. They're looking for specific solutions, so you want to give them that. You want to make it exciting. You want to give them the most value that you can to get them to pay attention to get them to give you their email, to get them to check out your offer. So any kind of a freebie that you have, the better it is, the more likely you are to grab that attention. In some extreme cases, like if you're trying to target like local businesses and stuff like that, you can even give away an offer that might cost you a few bucks, or you know, might cost you a little chunk of time to help them with. Like, you know, if you give away like a free logo or a basic mobile website or a free SEO analysis, you know, anything like that, where it takes a little time for you to basically do, or, you know, a little money or anything like that, the offer is a huge one. And if you target your prospect right, you know, they're more likely again to obviously take you up on that, and more likely to buy from you after the fact, especially if you have a good offer and follow the other tips and stuff that we have here. And again, I'd say 9 out of 10 times the lead offers I see from a lot of people just aren't good enough, or there's no major incentive to really sign up. So no one randomly says, gee, I want to find out what this free report is. It doesn't really say. It just says it's a free report. So I'm going to randomly give my email and see. No one basically does that because they don't want to waste their time on it. Even if you have the best report possible, again, you know, you want to make the offer clear, precise, and as great of an offer as you can possibly have. And that's what will get, again, more and more leads there. And always have some kind of offer to you know, get more leads to pay attention to you. And usually, you know, the better the offer you have, the more likely you are to get those leads, and the more likely you are to make sales in the back end as well, or down the line. And tip number 10 here is to have great targeted content. If you're trying to capture and sell your prospects, having great targeted content can make a world of difference. Having a short article, you know, or video targeting an issue or question that your prospects have can gain a lot of traffic and credibility. For instance, you know, let's say that I don't know, you know, let's do like a local example. Let's say that you're a moped store, okay, or you have a client that's one. Instead of trying to just rank for, like, you know, moped store or moped dealership or stuff like that, which is obviously great to try to rank for, but you can also create short, you know, articles or videos, especially if you sell stuff online, to say, like, hey, you know, what is the difference between a 50cc engine and a 150cc engine for a moped? So there's probably a lot of people looking at mopeds that see the different engine sizes and don't know squat about what that really means. I mean, they might understand that, gee, 150 sounds larger than 50, so it's probably a better engine, but do I really need that? What does that mean? And, you know, if you know a lot about mopeds, or if you're in the business, you know, you probably know way more about that. You can probably in a minute say, well, a 50cc engine is good if you weigh less than X amount. A 150cc one can go faster, and it can take, you know, people that weigh up to this much right here. So again, it takes a minute or two to basically answer that, and it's a very short article or a very short video and such. But when you target questions like that, people are basically Googling questions like that right now, and when they see the answer that you gave, and they see that, hey, the guy that gave this answer sells mopeds online or wherever it might be, they're more likely to check you out. And it's more like basically like a spider web. The more content that basically answers essentially questions that other guys have, the more likely you are to basically grab those prospects and draw them in to your main offer, which would be, in that case, selling a moped. And again, that works for like anything. Even if you sell like SEO, there's guys that would have a question like, what is a title tag? Is a title tag important? What is a schema? How do you make a schema? If you target simple questions like that, like you make one video or one article specifically on each of those questions, you can grab a lot of leads off that. You can grab a lot of traffic, and the more questions you have, the more likely you are to get some of those ranking and get guys being hooked in and checking out your offer, in the long run. And what's cool about this is that a lot of the questions that people are basically asking are simple answers, like simple answers. So it's not like you have to spend a half hour or an hour making a video, or an article. Oftentimes, your answer might be a minute or less. And there's a lot of value in that, and people honestly sometimes like the shorter content and the shorter videos and such because they know it clearly answers the questions that they have, and it gives you not only a ton of traffic, it gives you a lot of credibility as well at the same time. So try to think for whatever offer you have, what questions do people have that are in that market or that might be interested in the offer that you have, and what kind of videos or articles or blog posts can you make to try to specifically target those questions in the title tags or in the titles and give answers that would be helpful at the same time and make you look like an expert. Or even having webinars that basically target their issues and solve them with solutions, even if you later sell your own offer, can be a great way to sell higher ticket offers as well. So again, it's oftentimes very hard just to sell like, let's say like a $3,000 service to cold traffic, unless they're specifically looking for exactly that. But if you have, let's say, a webinar where you solve a lot of their issues, or you help kind of talk through a lot of the issues that they might have, you're giving away some awesome content at the start and leading them in to your sales offer to help automate that or make that life even easier with them right there. So like another example what that might be is let's say that you're trying to land clients for your Facebook ad management service. You could have a webinar or even like a video or an article on why people might get their Facebook ad account banned. Because there's a lot of people that might be searching for why their ad account was banned. You can give them basically tips and stuff and the most common reasons why one might be banned by basically saying, hey, here's what oftentimes people do wrong, here's what you should do right instead, and it establishes yourself as an expert. And then you can lead on to, hey, if you're looking for additional tips or tricks or anything like that, and how to get awesome results off of Facebook, check out this offer here. Or if you're selling SEO, it could be, again, these are the top 3 reasons why people don't rank, and you give those reasons right there. And then you lead into your offer later about, hey, if you want to rank easily, check out this product, or check out my service here that does this and this. So you're establishing your credibility, giving out valuable content that they're specifically looking for the answers to, and leading them down your sales process at the exact same time. So that can be a winning combo right there. And now that we're through the tips right there, I just want to give another brief reminder on some past free tools that we have. You can go to, for the first one, bizfire.com/survey. You basically answer a bunch of questions about your business or any other business out there, even like a client of yours, and it will give you specific answers and resources that can help you further your business based upon what your needs are or what your issues are. So cool tool right there. And at the very end of the survey, then not only will it give you tips, it will have an ad at the very top for another free tool, which is basically like a funnel maker or like a mind map tool where you can map out basically your business with your upsells and downsells and see how much money you can make and what your profit might be, and it gives several existing models and stuff that you can see as an example. And then once you sign up there, you can go back to bizfire.com/members and log in, and that again is completely free. So just wanted to mention those two again because we still have a lot of people asking on those because we gave those away a few weeks ago for free. So you can start by just again going to bizfire.com/survey. Pretty cool tool that's free. And then at the end of that, you'll also see an ad for another free tool to sign up for that will help you kind of map out your business and stuff. So very, very neat. Make sure to check out the first link right there to start out. And with that, guys, we'll move on to the Q&A. So if you have any questions, feel free to type those in. And then while we do that, you can also make sure, as I said earlier, go to getwebfire.com/FB group. You can sign up for a free Facebook group page right there. And Sharon has a post towards the very top that basically asks what you thought of today's call. If you leave any comment within that post right there, make sure you leave it within the post, not outside, because it's much more hard to count when it's left outside. If you leave the post within that post right, or if you leave the comment within that post right there, we'll pick a random winner in probably about five minutes time or so, and we'll give them $100 via PayPal that will pay instantly today. So make sure you join that group right there. And if you're not a member yet, if you join now, you'll be approved within like a minute. Again, it's free. And leave a comment under the first post where Sharon's asking what you thought of today's call. And again, I'll pick a random winner in just a bit. And of course, feel free to like and share that stuff too, because again, the more guys we get on these calls, the better it can be and such, and the more participation there is, and the more help you guys can get as well. So again, just make sure you go to that link right there. And with that, Sean, if you see any questions or anything that have popped up, feel free to say those, and we'll try to answer as best as we can. Well, guys, leave those comments.
Okay, awesome, Brian. Great work. And in fact, Tony wrote, "This is a genius masterclass." So
awesome.
Glad you enjoyed it, Tony. All right, Hannah asked a question that other people might have had, which is, when you were being an affiliate, which I'm not sure everyone realized, to sell diamonds, you weren't selling diamonds directly, you were an affiliate, but she was asking, how do you make people trust you so they buy diamonds from you? And the answer to that is first of all, you're not selling diamonds, so you don't have to make them trust you, because you're actually trying to get them to give you thousands of dollars for a diamond, but you want to create a relationship with them by offering them great information, helping them find the diamond that fits to them and the deal that's good for them, and then you're going to refer them to the right site to get the right diamond, and obviously doing that with someone that you have an affiliate relationship with, and then you get an affiliate cut of the deal for helping them out.
Yeah, and here's Brian. Here's a perfect example, of what I did with that. So, there's a lot of places online that sell diamonds, okay? But there's only a handful of the very big, well-known ones. So I would always refer them to a well-known one, and I would say, hey, this is like this is either the top diamond seller in the world, or one of the top 3. So the credibility is established in that line right there too. So again, they're not buying from me in that case, but if you buy from like the world's largest diamond seller, that there's basically some level of credibility there. They're not about to sell you a fake one, okay? They're not about to ruin hundreds of millions of dollars worth of sales off of being known as a fake. Now, as far as the credibility with me, I would give basically tips that would save them a lot of money. For instance, without getting too technical or anything like that, in a diamond, there's different kinds of different properties and stuff to essentially look for. Like one of those is basically the clarity. And there's all sorts of different levels of clarity, because there's very few diamonds that are basically perfect, and the perfect ones are insanely expensive. And before you ask, I guarantee if any of you have a diamond ring now, it is not a perfect diamond. There are flaws in it. It's just the way that basically diamonds are made. If there aren't flaws, it's probably fake, actually. And there's different levels of that, and the price jumps up significantly each time. So what I would tell them to basically do, one of the tips I would say in this case was, hey, instead of trying to go for this higher clarity level, which can add a large chunk of money, even like a grand or two more, even for like a smaller diamond, try to look for a slightly lower quality in terms of the clarity, and make sure it's within this range right here, but specifically ask if it's eye clean, because eye clean means you can't see the actual issue with the visible eye, or with the naked eye. So in that case, to the naked eye, the diamond that's of slightly lesser quality looks identical to the diamond that might cost a grand or so more. Like, you can't tell the difference at all, but it might save you a grand or more. If it's a larger diamond, it could save you thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. But even on a small one, you might save like $1,000 just with an easy tip like that. So when I give a tip like that, I'm not saying, hey, spend as much money as possible. I'm saying, hey, here's how you can save. So that the credibility is made, because instantly a lot of people that read that think, wow, he just gave me a tip that probably saved me $1,000. I really like this guy. I really trust this guy. Whereas a lot of other people might be trying to upsell them into the most expensive diamond. I would give them tips on how to save money on that, and where to buy, and exactly what to look for, and exactly tips on how they can save. So basically, the credibility is built through me because, hey, I just help them save, let's say, $1,000, and it's built through the place that they're buying from, because I'm saying, hey, you're basically buying from one of the top diamond sellers in the world. So that's like a real live example right there of how that would work, and how they would get like instant trust and credibility with me.
Good answer. Let's see. Glenn was asking, how many emails do you send on the third day during your 3-day email offer sequence?
We actually explained that. It's the 1, 2, 3 rule, where it's one email the first day, 2 on the second, and 3 on the third.
Can't you make it harder? Sorry, just kidding. No, don't overthink this, everybody. It really is that simple. Patricia asked, regarding building an email list, how do online sellers for Amazon get hold of customers they sell to? If you're actually selling, you can get access to email your customers from Amazon. Once you actually make sales, you can't obviously get customers. I mean, you can't get the information as an affiliate, but as the actual vendor, you can. All right, so folks, post up on Facebook. If you tried to post it, it's like you're blocked. Just hit refresh on the page because you're approved. And we're going to go over there and give away money because we're running a little bit long, and I don't want to keep you guys too long. So Helen says, great session. Thank you. You're welcome, Helen. Shahid, what tools do we use to look for high-ticket prospects? If we're actively looking for people, we use the real-time lead tools primarily. So if you go into Real-Time Lead Finder, you go to Twitter Lead Finder, and search for the phrases or the terms that people would be talking about or asking questions about that you could help. For instance, if you're a chiropractor and you're going to, or otherwise provide services that would help somebody that has back problems, when people are like, oh, my aching back, my back hurts, I hurt my back, I slipped a disc, I was in a car accident, right? Phrases that people would be using when they're like, man, my back is killing me. Does anybody know how to help? Well, if you know how to help, you could be helpful and add suggestions. Just like if somebody was looking to buy diamonds and someone says, hey, I need some information, I'm trying to figure out what diamond to buy my girlfriend or buy myself, and I don't know how to go about it, or is this a good deal, or somebody told me that I should buy this kind of diamond, because the things that you know about your business and how to help people are way far exceed what the average person knows about their stuff. So Brian, why don't you go over and let's
So
Sorry, all of a sudden, like a whole bunch of people popped in, but most of the people just saying good job. So.
Yep, I'll refresh the page on the Facebook page and then show the screen in a second here.
All right, Felix asked a question while you're doing it. How can you specialize when you're selling many products? Well, the answer is you have to, first of all, pick one. Pick a niche, pick something to target. You could sell multiple products in multiple niches, but you need to first get one business model working before you start branching out, because you can only focus on so much stuff at one time, right? So focus on one business with a few products, and then you can branch out into other things, but don't get into, like a friend of mine who will come to me with a great business idea, and he'll be like, okay, so we've got to figure out how to do this, and if we can sell this stuff to these people, then we're going to have to figure out how we're going to get enough people to work in the warehouse, and we got to get like 100,000 of these in stock before we can start selling them. And I mean, it's like, okay, so he's created this business plan with like 150 moving parts, and he hasn't actually sold a single item yet. Okay.
Yep.
So it's a very common problem when you're starting out. Whereas if Brian and I have an idea to test something, like for instance in our survival business, we're building out a couple different things that we're testing. Our goal in life is to get the test pages up and running and tested before we're going to worry about how we're getting a few thousand more items shipped over here from China. We want to know if anybody's going to buy them, right? So we just want to get our hands on a few. We're overpaying to get our hands on a few because we just want to find out if anybody buys them. Even if we lose money just doing the test, if we do the test and it works, then we'll worry about complicating our lives. But you just got to get going, get traffic, make some sales, make things happen, and now we're going to give away money.
All right.
Ryan?
So with that, I'm going to count. I see we have 51 comments within the post, but I see a lot of you went against my advice and posted outside. So I'll count those, but it makes it easier to post within there. So I'll count the ones outside first, and we'll go back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, so 11 outside, plus guys that listened well, 54. So we have 65 in total. Go to random.org, so 65 in total, 65. It's being slow for some reason. All right, so eventually it will allow me to type in 65 there. Don't know if this is a go-to thing or what. All right, there we go. Then click generate. 51 is the winner. So, oops, someone just added one, but they were actually, it was 56. Looks like 57 just popped in and just left. Oh, back to 56 now. All right, so 51. We will go. Start at the very bottom. So 56, 55, 54, 53, 52, 51 right there is Philip Hipari. If that's you and you have a button as your picture right there, congratulations, you are $100 richer. Just make sure that you give your PayPal info to Sharon. Just type that in the chat box. And congratulations. So just make sure to enter your PayPal email in the chat box, and Sharon will get that off to you today. So congratulations again to Philip Hipari for being this week's winner. And again, if you didn't win, again next week you'll have another chance, because again each week we give $100 away, and everyone has a chance on that. But again, thanks to all of you that left a comment. We always appreciate all that right there. And again, if you have any suggestions for any tips or advice or any kind of topics that you want to see in the future, let us know, because obviously we want to make sure that you guys learn the stuff that you want want to learn, and if there's a topic that's of interest to you, we'll try to make sure that we have a call geared towards that. So, Sean, unless there's anything else that's left, we can wrap up the call. Unless there's anything else that popped up real quick.
No, we're all good. Got Philip's info, and so we're ready to rock and roll. Thank you, everybody, for being here, participating, and go take action to do everything you're supposed to do, guys.
All right. Thanks much, guys, and we'll see you next week at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday. So take care, and we'll talk to you later.